Boxing Truth here, back with another video. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Alright, let's talk about it. I finally watched Loma's interview. It's almost an hour long with this cat in his language. It was a very interesting interview. Gave a lot of insight to what was going on with Loma before the fight. Also, perhaps why he performed the way he did in the first half of that fight. And, this was smart of Loma to do. He needed to do this. Talk a little trash. Create a little doubt in some people's minds of what happened in that first fight. Even though I felt Lopez won, it was still a close fight on my card. And the difference was just a single round. Loma was just one round away on my card from defending his titles for at least a draw. So I give Loma props in some things that he described about the fight. He said it was a close fight. Even though he said he won, I disagree with him on that. He said it was a close fight. It could have been a draw. So he's being honest about how close the fight was. And that the injury is why he was so hesitant in the first half of the fight to really go all out. And that when he started to land shots, it started to hurt him in the fight. So Loma, in my opinion, deserves a rematch. Even though I felt he lost the fight, it was still a close fight. Perhaps Loma can make adjustments. Maybe he can come in better this time. As he says, he was not 100% going into the fight. They wanted to postpone it. Loma refused. And he would rather retire than to postpone a fight and not knowing if this fight will ever be rescheduled, because his ultimate goal was to be undisputed champion in the lightweight division. And Loma should get another crack, considering because who else is Lopez going to fight right now? That's a big fight. That's bigger than any fight right now that he could get outside of a Loma rematch. I mean, nobody cares about Kambosos. I mean, yeah, he's a mandatory. Yeah, he brings money to the table with his Australian backers, and he could provide a good event for Lopez, but it ain't a bigger fight than the Lomachenko rematch. So I don't see why. I know there was no rematch clause. That was Loma's fault for not going over his contract, not ensuring any protection on a rematch clause. I mean, any champion at that level is gonna put a rematch clause regardless if they're a big favorite or not. You gotta protect yourself. Can't just focus on training. You just can't, depend on your managers to do the right thing for you. You gotta look at your contracts too, bruh. But there's no bigger fight out there for Lopez. I mean, if I were him, I would want to run it back too. I mean, it's a big fight. He'll make a much bigger purse. He'll be the A side this time. And he'll get a chance to really put a definitive statement in this fight. Because, yeah, he won the fight, but it was close. It's not like he knocked Loma out or thoroughly dominated. I mean, he needed that 12th round to really pull out those titles. So let's see a more decisive victory. How about a knockout victory and put a close to this chapter? But it is a risk giving Loma a rematch. Loma is a clutch fighter. He has that clutch gene. He somehow finds a way to win in a lot of his fights. And he almost found a way, even though the scorecards were way off. He almost found a way to pull out a draw on my card with that comeback he had in the second half of the fight. Now, Lomachenko says that the judges were bribed. There was a game involved. Look, it's boxing, man. Anything's possible. Like, boxing is the Wild West. It's the only sport where fighters are allowed to bet on each other. That's why you see these 45-1 favorite fights. You see some questionable uh, knockouts and drops. It's happened already this year. I mean, it's happened a few times this year. The Luis Ortiz fight, that dude was what, like a 20-1 dog, 30-1 dog. I mean, why not take a dive in the first round? Put some money on yourself in the first round to get knocked out, and then you go in there and flop in the first round. You know, you come out with a nice little payday in the bag. You know, you had Jacobs' trainer, Danny Jacobs' trainer, ask him, "Hey man, did you bet on yourself for this fight to go past the 6th round or something?" You know, the boxing is the Wild West. You know, they could carry an opponent. A huge underdog could come in, especially with powerful people behind him, say, "Yo, man, lay down the first round so we can make some money." That's what I felt happened in that Josh Taylor fight, in that Kong Song fight. Kong Song took a dive, man. That was bullshit. Definitely took a dive. In the first round to get, to lay down, you imagine the odds? Just to lay down the first round, you placed your bet on yourself? So anything's possible in boxing. Were the judges bribed? Well, maybe Julian Letterman was bribed, because that scorecard was unexplainable. 119-109, very suspicious there, very fishy scorecard. One of the worst scorecards I've seen this year. There's no way Loma won just one round. He put in a lot of work in the second half of the fight. He had more impressive rounds in the fight compared to Lopez. Lopez won a lot of rounds simply because Loma didn't do shit. And I would like to see a rematch. It's bigger than any other fight out there right now. The Devin Haney fight's not going to happen. Gervonta Davis don't want that smoke. You know, he's fighting bantamweights and featherweights still, so he ain't going to fight Teofimo. Ryan Garcia still needs to establish himself as a legit contender, and if he beats Luke Campbell and does it more impressively than Loma did, then he will have arrived on that scene, on that stage, as a contender that's knocking on the door for a world title opportunity. So why not do a rematch? I mean, Loma's talking shit, saying that you scared, you know you're going to lose a rematch. I'll be in better condition, 100%. You got to run this back, bro. Saying you're too pussy to take a rematch. So, look, I'm interested in the rematch. I want to see if Loma could turn the tables, make adjustments. But yeah, I agree, man. You know, if I'm Lopez's team, I'm hesitant to take a rematch too. Look, we beat the guy. There's no rematch clause. We don't have to give him a rematch. But it's a bad look if he doesn't. And Loma is talking all this shit, saying that he's scared, that he knows he'll get beat in a rematch. Just run it back, show that it wasn't a fluke, and get an even more decisive victory and put a close to this chapter. There's no other big fight out there for Teofimo. You know, let's get it done. Bob should do whatever it takes to get it done. This is the fight he should want for his stable, for the immediate future, for Top Rank. It's a big fight. They can do better business the second time around, and Loma will get a chance to prove if he could regain his titles. If the first fight he had an off night, he wasn't at 100%, and Lopez gets to prove that it wasn't a fluke, that he's the better fighter, and you'll have even more bragging rights, beating Loma a second time and officially ending his career, because that's what's going to happen. If Loma loses the rematch, if the rematch occurs, his career is over, and he knows it. But he wants the run back. But another interesting thing he said is if he can't get the rematch, if Bob is somehow able to make this happen and close the deal, he'll fight Devin Haney. So there you go. Lomachenko called out Devin Haney. Says he's willing to fight him if the Lopez rematch doesn't occur. Y'all let me know what y'all think. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.